Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to 90 Day Fiancé latest news. The word traveled quickly on social media, Reddit, and entertainment blogs. Michael Ilesanmi, the charming but often contentious star of TLC's famous reality show 90 Day Fiancé, had been detained in the US. The reports were disturbing enough on their own, but the facts that came out over the next few hours made the situation seem far worse and more dramatic than anyone could have imagined. 2 days ago, on a tranquil night in America, Michael's life changed when he was in a late-night collision that seriously hurt one pedestrian. At first, it looked like just another celebrity scandal, but it quickly turned into a serious legal battle. The reality TV personality was facing allegations of driving under the influence and reckless endangerment. The fight in court that followed was quick but tense, and Michael ended up with a big fine and a lot of public attention. But what caused this to happen? How did a man who was known for being strong, having a long-distance love story, and coming to America end up in handcuffs, sitting in a police station, and facing the possibility of jail time? To really get how serious what happened was, we need to look at what happened that night, what happened in the days that followed, and the bigger picture of Michael's difficult life in the public eye. Michael was driving home shortly after midnight after what friends subsequently called a private gathering. The roads were silent, and the air was thick with the kind of silence that was only disturbed by the sound of cars going by or the hum of streetlights. But in that quiet, one error would change lives forever. Police investigations and eyewitness statements say that Michael's car was swaying a little bit as it went down a street with little light. Drivers behind him saw him move in ways that made them frightened and wary. Suddenly, everything changed. Michael's car went onto the sidewalk as he got closer to a crossing. A middle-aged man heading home from work late at night didn't have time to react. The automobile hit him hard enough to toss him several feet, and he lay on the ground, bleeding and still. There was a lot of panic. People who saw what happened hurried to help the victim and called 911. Michael is said to have gotten out of his automobile in shock, confused, and having trouble understanding what had just transpired. Later, witnesses said that his speech was slurred, his balance was off, and his eyes were hazy. These were clear evidence that police would soon confirm. Police and paramedics were on the site in only a few minutes. The person who was walking was taken to the hospital right away in critical condition. At the same time, the officers focused on Michael. They gave him sobriety tests, which he failed, so they arrested him right away. Fans who had followed Michael's trip from Nigeria to the US were shocked to see his mugshot. TLC always showed him as a quiet, often naive man trying to deal with the cultural and emotional problems in his marriage. His relationship with Angela was one of the most controversial in 90 Day Fiancé history. They had big fights, made up, and had drama all the time. Still, Michael often acted like he was humble and innocent through it all. That picture was broken overnight. Fans swarmed social media with posts saying they couldn't believe the news. Some people felt sorry for the situation, while others were angry and let down. How could he just throw it all away like this? One fan tweeted. Another person said, "This is terrible for the victim most of all, but also for Michael's future in America." The cops arrested Michael and took him to the station to book him. For hours, his name was all over the internet as bloggers, YouTubers, and tabloids hurried to write about the story. Photos of him being led away in handcuffs spread quickly, adding to the story of yet another reality celebrity who made bad choices and got in trouble. The case went to court 2 days ago. The victim's family was there as prosecutors went over the allegations against Michael. Driving while high on drugs, driving carelessly, and hurting a pedestrian. They were still in shock. There was a lot of tension in the courtroom. Michael looked sad and wore basic clothes. He was quiet. He didn't look like the happy, vibrant man they recalled from TV. He looked tired instead, knowing that the effects of what he had done were happening right then and there. The judge heard all sides of the dispute. The prosecutors said that Michael's actions were risky and reckless, and that he should get a harsh punishment. The defense, on the other hand, told a different story. They stressed that Michael had never been in trouble with the law before, that he worked with the police, and that he was really worried about the victim right away. They also talked about how hard it was for him to acclimate to life in America, where he was under a lot of public scrutiny and criticism. The judge made a decision after hours of thought. Michael had to pay a big fine of $15,000. Once the fine was paid, he was free to go. He didn't have to go to jail, but his reputation was ruined. People had different emotions to the ruling. Supporters were happy, people who thought the punishment was too moderate were angry, and advocates for the victim were quietly outraged that the punishment wasn't tougher. The pedestrian is at the core of this tragedy since that night changed their lives forever. Reports say that he hurt himself badly, breaking bones and hurting his insides. Doctors were able to stabilize him, but it will be a long and hard path to recovery. Family and friends of the victim have come out in public about how angry and sad they are. A family member informed local news that he was just walking home from work. He didn't deserve this. He is now in the hospital battling for his life, and we don't know what will happen next. The victim has since sued Michael, asking for justice and responsibility. The case makes Michael's legal problems much worse, making sure that this event will continue to affect his life long after the news stories stop. Fans of 90 Day Fiancé are used to drama. The program is all about drama, from big fights to painful breakups. But this time was different. It wasn't manufactured or rehearsed for TV. It was real life with genuine repercussions. Fans swarmed social media with a mix of feelings. Some people spoke up for Michael, saying that everyone makes errors and that he should get another chance. Some people said his actions were wrong because driving while drunk is a crime that can't be forgiven. Angela, Michael's on-again, off-again companion, was the first person people started to talk about. Fans spoke about how she would react, even though she hasn't said anything publicly yet. Would she stand with Michael, or would this be the last straw in their rocky relationship? Entertainment bloggers took advantage of the chance to look at the topic from all sides. Some people wondered how TLC would react, while others wondered if Michael's future in the US was now in danger. Immigration experts said that even if the criminal charges are dropped, they can still have major effects on a foreign national's ability to live in the country. Michael's arrest makes us think about the stress that comes with being famous on reality TV. For years, people have watched him closely, judging every move he makes. Moving from Nigeria to the US was already hard, and the ongoing drama in his relationship with Angela made things even harder. Some people say that the event shows the bad side of becoming famous. Reality stars are thrown into the spotlight without the help or resources that traditional celebrities usually have, one media analyst said. They're under a lot of stress, which can lead to bad decisions. Michael's story is also a warning about the risks of driving when drunk. Groups who work to make roads safer have used the event as a chance to get the word out. One representative said, "This could have been avoided. It's a tragedy for the driver and the victim. We need to keep saying that it's never okay to drive while drunk." Since he got out of jail, Michael has mostly stayed quiet. Friends claim he is devastated by what transpired and really sorry for what he did. His lawyers have told him, according to reports, to stay quiet while the civil case is still open. But silence hasn't prevented people from guessing. Fans want to hear his side of the story to find out if he would take responsibility for what he did or try to explain it. Some people are curious if he will finally give an exclusive interview, maybe to a big entertainment site, to help fix his reputation. Michael's future is uncertain for now. The fee may have taken care of the criminal accusations right away, but the civil litigation is still going on. More importantly, his reputation has taken a big hit, and his career as a reality TV star is in danger. TLC has not yet made an official comment about what happened. The network has been through similar problems before, so people will probably be paying careful attention to how they handle Michael's case. Will they stay away from him, or will they use his legal problems in future stories? We'll have to wait and see. Michael must face the legal and personal ramifications of what he did. The way ahead won't be easy. He will have to deal with rebuilding trust with fans, figuring out his relationship with Angela, and the ongoing legal battle with the victim's family. These are the things that will shape the next chapter of his life. This story is really about being responsible. It reminds us that no matter how famous or popular someone is, their actions have consequences. Michael Ilesanmi's arrest is a warning to everyone, not just reality stars, who thinks that driving while drunk isn't that dangerous. A simple choice made 2 days ago affected the lives of many people. For the victim, it meant suffering and not knowing what would happen next. For Michael, it meant shame and difficulty with the law. For fans, it meant coming to terms with the fact that their beloved TV stars are actual people who make mistakes and can hurt others very badly. As things start to calm down, one thing is clear. This event will always be a turning point in Michael Ilesanmi's life. We don't know yet if he will find redemption or keep going down a bad path. But one thing is for sure. The things that happened that night will not be forgotten anytime soon. Fans all across the world have been fascinated and disturbed by the story of Michael's arrest, from the bright lights of the police cars to the stressful moments in the courtroom. It is a sad story about duty and the thin line between success and failure. It all started with one night, one mistake, and a choice that could never be taken back. The arrest of Michael Ilesanmi didn't finish with flashing police lights, a victim on the way to the hospital, and the big headlines that were all over entertainment news. For those closest to the case, that night was just the beginning of a long story that would bring Michael into the courts, put his personal life in the spotlight, and raise important concerns about accountability, stardom, and how easily reputations can be damaged. Michael stood in a courthouse 2 days before, ready to face the repercussions of what he had done. The fine may have been imposed and the gavel may have dropped, but the ramifications of that night are still being felt in his life, the lives of those around him, and the devoted fans who once admired him. This is the narrative of how a DUI accident that happened late at night turned into one of the most stunning parts of 90 Day Fiancé history. There was a lot going on at the courthouse that morning, even before Michael got there. Outside, reporters waited with their cameras, ready to get a picture of the man at the center of the issue. People who were curious stayed in the hallways, whispering to each other about what might happen. For a lot of people, it wasn't simply a court case. It was a show, an opportunity to see the fall of a reality TV star whose personal narrative had previously been fun to watch. The mood within was tight. The benches were full with reporters, supporters who got lucky and got seats, and most importantly, the family of the person who Michael hit with his car. Their features showed grief, fury, and the great weight of not knowing what would happen next. Michael came in quietly with his lawyers. He wore a plain suit and had his head down, so it was hard to read his face. There was no sign of the bright, fun personality that fans were used to seeing on TV. This wasn't Michael the entertainer. This was Michael the defendant, who was facing the hard truth of a criminal charge. The judge didn't waste any time when the proceedings started. "This court does not take lightly the offense of driving under the influence," she said, her voice echoing through the room. "Mister, your actions put not only yourself but also the lives of innocent people in this neighborhood at risk, Ilesanmi." Prosecutors reviewed what happened that night. The bad driving, the failed sobriety tests, and the pedestrian who was in the hospital struggling to get better. They created a clear picture of carelessness, saying that Michael's choices may have easily led to death. The defense, on the other hand, asked the court to see Michael as more than just a careless driver. They stressed that he had never been in trouble with the law before, that he worked with the police, and that he was truly sorry. They talked about how hard it was for him as an immigrant to deal with celebrity, cultural differences, and the stress of being in the public eye. His lawyer said, "Michael is not a hardened criminal. He is a man who made a terrible mistake and is ready to take the blame." You could feel the tension in the room. It seemed like every word the lawyers said was important not just to the case, but also to bigger issues like celebrity, responsibility, and justice. The whole courtroom held its breath when the verdict was eventually read. Michael had to pay a fine of $15,000, which was a big punishment, but not enough to put him in jail. The choice led to an immediate argument. Some others thought it was a reasonable decision because Michael had never been convicted of a crime before, and the punishment was large. Others, especially those who cared about the victim, saw it as a slap on the wrist. One family member remarked outside the courthouse, "$15,000 can't fix what he did. Michael gets to walk free while our loved one is in pain? What is fair about that?" Michael paid the money and was let go, but the memory of what happened stayed with him. For a lot of supporters, the verdict was the end of one chapter and the start of another. The hard process of regaining trust, reputation, and a sense of direction in a life that had been thrown off track. A lot of the news was about Michael, but the real story is about the pedestrian who was hit that night. Reports said that he had several broken bones, a concussion, and internal ailments that needed surgery. It would take him months, maybe even longer, to become better. Friends and family said he was a hard worker who was just walking home from work when the accident happened. A close acquaintance said, "He's not famous, he's not rich, he's just a normal person trying to make ends meet." And now his life has been turned upside down because of someone else's careless decisions. The victim's lawsuit against Michael made sure that the legal drama would go on. The lawsuit was more than just about getting money. It was also about holding Michael accountable for the hurt he caused and making him face the human repercussions of his actions. Fans' emotions to the court's ruling stayed very different as news of it circulated. People have a lot of different ideas on social media. Some people backed Michael by saying that he had paid his duty with the fine and should be given an opportunity to move on. One fan said, "Everyone makes mistakes. He's a person and he's already been punished. Let's give him a chance to improve." On the other hand, there were many who condemned him and said that his actions put lives in danger and should have sent him to jail. If he weren't famous, would he have gotten away with it? Another fan asked directly. This seems like a case of celebrity privilege. The divide showed how complicated the connection is between fans and reality TV stars. Reality stars are generally more approachable and relatable than traditional celebrities. People care about their lives, their problems, and their triumphs. And when those stars fall, it seems like a personal loss. Angela, Michael's longtime partner and co-star on 90 Day Fiancé, was the most talked about person in the rumors about him. Angela was known for being outspoken and having a fiery temper, so her silence on the matter was deafening. Fans went through her social media posts to find hints. Some people noticed that she had posted vague words like trust and loyalty, while others noticed that she hadn't spoken anything in public about the situation. Would Angela be there for Michael during this time of trouble, or would this event completely break the already weak bond between them? People who knew the couple well said that Angela was angry, but also confused. On the one hand, she had spent years fighting for her relationship with Michael against criticism, immigration problems, and cultural barriers. On the other hand, she didn't have much patience for behavior that put their future at risk. One source said, "Angela doesn't forgive easily. This could be the end if she feels betrayed." At the same time, TLC execs were dealing with their own problems. 90 Day Fiancé made a name for itself by showing dramatic relationships, cultural differences, and larger-than-life people. But the criminal accusations attracted unwanted attention and made people wonder if networks were responsible for checking out and managing their stars. Should they stay away from Michael, maybe by cutting him out of future broadcasts or quietly ending his contract? Should they embrace the drama and make his legal problems a part of his continuous story arc? TLC has not said anything official yet, though. Fans and industry experts alike thought that the network's choice might change how the behavior of reality stars off-screen affects their future on-screen. Friends noted that the days after the court ruling were soul-searching for Michael. Those who knew him well said he was full of guilt, especially about how much the victim had to endure. He reportedly stayed home for extended periods of time, avoided going out in public, and relied largely on a small group of trusted friends for help. One friend said, "He knows he messed up. This isn't something he can just ignore. He's afraid, scared of what people will say, scared for his future, and scared of losing everything he fought so hard to establish." Michael's lawyers told him not to make any public statements, but there was speculation of his eventually making a formal apology. Fans and detractors alike wanted to hear him speak, whether it was at a press conference, in an interview, or on social media. This was his time to explain, apologize, and maybe even start the long road to redemption. Michael's immigration status was another big question mark hanging over his future, in addition to the penalties and the lawsuit. Even if a criminal case is settled without jail time, it can nevertheless have substantial effects on non-citizens. Lawyers thought that Michael's situation might make it harder for him to stay in the country, which could put him at risk of being deported. During news segments, immigration lawyers said that a lot would rely on how the accusations were legally documented and if they came within categories that lead to immigration consequences. "It's not automatic," one lawyer said, "but it's definitely something to worry about. Anyone who isn't a citizen and is facing criminal charges should be ready for what can happen." The thought of being deported made Michael even more scared. After years of fighting to be with Angela and dealing with criticism from the U.S. government and the public, he was now at risk of losing everything. Since the accident, groups that fight against drunk and drug driving have used the case as a chance to get their message out. A spokeswoman remarked, "This could happen to anyone. Being famous doesn't protect you from the effects of driving while impaired." Michael's story is sad, but it also serves as a strong reminder of why we need to keep teaching, raising awareness, and pushing for accountability. Michael's name and picture were utilized in billboards, social media campaigns, and news reports to make the point, sometimes in a provocative way. For a lot of people, his story was more than just a controversy involving a famous person. It turned into a warning story, a clear example of how one bad choice may change everything. As the victim steadily got better, his voice started to be heard in public. He thanked his family for their support, but he also said he was upset with what he saw as mercy in Michael's sentencing. Through his lawyer, he added, "I don't want fame or attention. I want justice. I want everyone to know that I could have died that night. I still don't know if I'll ever be completely better. And Michael can go on with his life, but mine has been changed forever." Many others agreed with what he said, which sparked new discussions about fairness, privilege, and responsibility in the legal system. Michael doesn't know what will happen next. The fee has been paid, but the lawsuit is still out there. His job is in doubt, his reputation is hurt, and his relationship with Angela is still shaky. Every step forward will need to be carefully planned, and every public appearance will be watched closely. The victim has a long road ahead of them to heal physically, emotionally, and financially. This path will probably take years. His case is a reminder that behind every headline and celebrity scandal, there are real people whose lives are ruined forever. And for fans, the future is a time to rethink things. What does it mean to stand by a reality celebrity who has done something very bad? Can love last even after you're let down? Or is this the end of Michael's role in the 90-Day Fiancé story? The story of Michael Ilesanmi's arrest and trial is more than just a tabloid headline. It is a narrative about making errors, dealing with the results, and the thin line between celebrity and duty. It started with a drive late at night and turned into an ordeal that changed my life. One thing is for sure, this chapter will always be a part of Michael's legacy. The cameras, the fans, and even the courts can't decide if he will find redemption or give in to the weight of his acts. Only the decisions he makes from now on can do that, because now is when Michael's actual journey starts. Michael Ilesanmi's criminal case may have ended in the courtroom, but outside of it, a much bigger fight was going on. If the $15,000 fine was his legal punishment, the media frenzy that followed was his real punishment. Michael's name was all over the news, gossip websites, YouTube channels, and social media for days and weeks after he got out. There were no lawyers, judges, or precisely regulated sanctions in the court of public opinion. There was nothing but continuous speculation, anger, defense, and sensationalism. The story had gotten out of the courts and into the crazy world of reality TV commentary, where a share button could make or break a person's image. Every news organization, from big tabloids to small fan blogs, wanted to cover the tale. 90-Day Fiancé star arrested for DUI accident was all over entertainment blogs. YouTube thumbnails showed Michael's mugshot next to flashing police lights to get people who wanted to know more to watch. Some headlines went even further and focused on the most dramatic parts of the case. Michael Ilesanmi almost messes up his future in America. Victim speaks out against 90-Day Fiancé star after DUI crash. Angela deems silent as Michael gets criticized. Michael couldn't get away from his blunder because there was so much coverage. There were 10 posts that made him look reckless and irresponsible for everyone that tried to understand how hard it is to be famous on reality TV. The storm wasn't merely caused by traditional media. Michael's narrative was a goldmine for YouTubers and podcasters who talk about reality TV. There were whole live broadcasts that talked about his arrest, his time in court, and what it meant for his future on 90-Day Fiancé. Some creators put a lot of thought into empathy. They talked about how different cultures can be, how hard it is to get used to living under continual surveillance, and how Michael might have been overwhelmed by his situation. Others were harsher and called him irresponsible, egotistical, and unworthy of his platform. The eventual result was a mix of stories, some supporting him and others denouncing him. But the repeated mention of his name, his mugshot, and the victim's horrible injuries kept the story alive. Even though Michael didn't say anything, the media's focus quickly turned to Angela Deem. People started to wonder about the fiery reality star, who was known for her explosive nature and how she protected her marriage. Reporters set up camp on her social media profiles and looked for hidden meanings in every post. A hazy Instagram story about betrayal made headlines that said Angela was going to leave Michael. People thought she was trying to distance herself from the incident when they saw a picture of her laughing with pals. Angela, on the other hand, didn't say anything official, but her silence just made things worse. One commenter said, "What Angela thinks could make or break Michael's future. If she backs him up, fans might be more forgiving. If she leaves him, it might mean the end of his stint in the franchise." While fans wondered about Angela, there was another silence that stood out: TLC. The network that first showed Michael to the world was in a tough spot. Drama is what makes reality TV interesting, but legal controversies may be dangerous. Would TLC break up with Michael to escape backlash? Or would they use the event in future episodes to make the debate even bigger? The network didn't say anything for weeks, but many who worked there said that talks were going on behind closed doors. They know the fans are watching closely. One source who didn't want to be named said, "They're thinking about whether this could hurt the brand or just add to the drama that keeps people watching." As the media storm built, another aspect began to take over coverage: Michael's immigration status. Legal experts talked on talk shows and online panels about how the DUI charge could affect his ability to live in the U.S. Some fans were told that a fine alone could not lead to deportation, while others said that having a criminal record could make things more difficult. One lawyer said, "He may not be removed right away, but if immigration officials decide to look into his case, this incident will not help him." Fans who had seen Michael fight for years to be with Angela in America were especially upset by the possibility of him being deported. Many people used social media to say they were worried he may lose everything he had worked for. The media frenzy reached new heights when the victim's lawyer published a personal statement. He wrote, "I don't want my life to be a headline, but I also don't want what happened to me to be downplayed. I hurt every day. My family is going through a lot with me. This wasn't just a mistake. I chose to do something that put my life in danger." His statement spread like wildfire throughout news stories and social media, sparking more anger. Some people still defended Michael, but others said that celebrity news was taking away from the victim's point of view. Advocacy groups said the same thing, telling people that the real tragedy wasn't the scandal itself, but the damage done to an innocent pedestrian. Michael didn't say a word the whole time. His lawyers told him not to say anything in public, but his followers were getting impatient. Some people thought he was getting ready for a tell-all interview, while others thought he was getting ready to say sorry in a formal way. Every day that went by without hearing his voice made people more curious. What would he say? Would he say he was sorry, or would he try to explain why he did what he did? Could any apology fix the damage done to his name? A reality star's reputation is worth a lot. Michael became famous after being on 90 Day Fiancé, which led to a lot of online talk about him. But now that his reputation was ruined, his career was on the line. People in the industry talked about whether TLC or other networks would want to deal with him again. Some others said that controversy sells, and that Michael's narrative may make for a great redemption arc. Others said that he was too toxic to be in the show because he had been in a DUI crash. Fans, on the other hand, wondered if they would ever be able to see him the same way again. One admirer commented in a popular Reddit thread, "He's not just a TV character anymore. He's a person who made a choice that hurt someone. That alters everything." Michael's controversy became part of a bigger cultural conversation, not just about his own life. Journalists and analysts looked into the bad side of being famous on reality TV. The lack of preparation, the unexpected exposure, and the huge pressure that regular people feel when they become famous. One analyst in the media said, "Reality stars aren't ready for fame. They don't have publicists, and they haven't had years of practice managing an image. They are normal individuals in unusual situations, and sometimes they make mistakes that have terrible effects." Michael's situation showed how fast the promise of fame on reality TV can become a burden, and how one poor choice can turn a star into a warning story. As the media hysteria had died down, one question remained. What will happen to Michael Ilesanmi next? Some people think he may try to make a comeback, maybe through an exclusive interview or a fresh plot on 90 Day Fiancé. Some people assume he will completely leave the public eye and focus on his personal life and the ongoing legal battles with the victim. You can be redeemed, but it's not a sure thing. He will need to be honest, take responsibility, and be willing to face both his detractors and his supporters. For now, Michael's future is still up in the air, and everyone, fans, critics, and the media, can't wait to see what happens next. The issue of Michael Ilesanmi is more than simply another headline on a reality show. It's a story about fame and duty colliding, and a mistake that had effects that went far beyond the courtroom. It's a narrative about how easy it is to lose your reputation in the internet era, when one night can ruin years of hard work and turn a beloved TV star into a warning. The media storm may pass, but Michael will hear about it for years to come. His name, which used to be linked to the ups and downs of a tumultuous love story, will now always be linked to that terrible night. Fans keep arguing, guessing, and analyzing, but one thing is clear. Reality TV may blur the line between entertainment and real life, but the results are always real when the cameras stop rolling. This gossip is over. If you liked the video, then give your opinion in the comment box and stay with us by subscribing the channel. Thank you.